Hello, Chris and Jai Shri Mataji.
Jai Shri Mataji.
Hello, everybody. We thank you for listening to us. We are, like usual, Chris Marlowe and Daniel Boston, talking about Chris' experience in Sahaja Yoga and about his books, and especially about the Ganesha Atharva Sheersha translation. He's done it. We already talked about that before we meet. And I asked Chris if he wanted to comment a little bit on audio about Ganesha Atharva Sheersha. I propose to listen. And from there, we will go a little bit more in Ganesha Atharva Sheersha, which, as you know, it's one of the very, very special mantras. So I will start with sharing that version of audio with Chris, only the first verse, and ask him to comment a little bit on the way how the mantra is sung and especially is pronounced. So we'll start that sharing now.
Shri Ganesha Atharva Sheersha. Namaste Ganapataye Tvameva Pratyaksham Tattvamasi Tvameva Kevalam Kartasvi Tvameva Kevalam Dhartasi Tvameva Kevalam Dhartasmi Tvameva sarvam khalvidam brahmasmi Tvam sakshat brahmasi nityam.
Okay, so those one was the first verse of Ganesha Atharva Sheersha, which before I read Chris Marlowe book, I have no idea are divided in verses. Will be 10 of them, according to Chris. Some other people said are only 9, but I believe him because it's not about the verses in the classical way. It's a mixture of verses. But that we'll talk about later. About that we'll talk about later. So, Chris, can you tell us your comments about the way how it's singing that version of Ganesha Atharva Sheersha, please? Before that, we have to tell you and all the people that it's a version from Maharashtra, from Mumbai, from people, probably Yuva Shakti, listen to their young voices. Please, Chris.
Okay, hi Daniel. Right, so what they've done here, they've created what I think you call an educational audio or video, actually. They've slowed it down and they're saying each phrase with the gaps between. Now, that lady's voice, the lady saying it, sounds very familiar to me. And I think they've taken her recording, which is quite a well-known one. And I think it's already up on my website, actually. You can download the audio. And the guy, the man, the Yuva Shakti, whoever he is, has put his voice in on top of the existing recording of the lady saying Ganesha Atharva Sheersha. Okay. The pronunciation is a traditional one, the way they go up and down. Tvameva kevalam kartasi. That's all very normal and how it's always done in India anyway. Some of the translations I would I'm I tend to be very keen on kind of making translations very literal, if possible. You know, even trying to keep the same word order so that you know which word means what thing. You know.
Yes.
So Twameva Sarvam Kalvidam Brahmasi, for example.
Yep.
You know, Twameva we know means you are indeed,
Yes.
and Sarvam means everything, the whole.
Yes.
So Kalu means kind of like both in this sense. Idam means this, which means this world of the senses. And Brahmasi means you are also the formless consciousness. So translation for me would be you are indeed everything, both this world and the formless consciousness.
Yep.
But they didn't translate it like that. So
I forget to tell you that I wasn't particularly interested in the translation, although the people who will use it will use the translation which is already on the screen, which you are right is not incorrect, but it's not the best one. I tell you what I do. I used to listen to that tape and know and have that one in front of me, although I know it by the heart. I mean, everybody knows Ganesha Atharva Sheersha, but
well, hopefully.
no, everybody know it. No, everybody recite it. It's a big difference, and not too many people know it. So one of the reason we are here is to make Ganesha Atharva Sheersha more they make people more aware about the real meanings inside of the Ganesha Atharva Sheersha. And the treasure, you can find it there, the spiritual treasure, you can find it inside of Ganesha Atharva Sheersha with this translation, because that's it's about. That's why we are talking now. I'm talking with Chris Marlowe about that, because he's the one who um, make do according to me the perfect translation. Not only he's find every word, but he putting the translation in the same order, like you said before. So what other things you find in this audio?
No, I mean it's what can I say? I mean this would be good in the West. I mean, I don't know what happens in Australia or New Zealand, but in Europe, they still actually say the Ganesha Atharva Sheersha in a slightly strange manner, which I believe was sort of started by some Italian leader who's not really around anymore. So, but they do funny things. They like when they say Ava Tuam Mum, they make Ava the long A of Ava long, and they go Ava Tuam Mum, Ava Bacterum, Ava Shotrum. So do they do that in Australia? That long A, Ava.
And I don't know
Or
what they're doing in Australia, because I know I'm
oh,
in New
New
Zealand.
Zealand, sorry. Yeah.
In New Zealand, there are a lot of Indian people, so we are quite okay-ish with the pronunciation. But
Okay.
we have to tell to our listener, if they want to pronounce correctly, to go to these versions, this version of Ganesha Atharva Sheersha, which have all the signs for the better pronunciation. So there are long vowels and short vowels. That's one of the simplest way of describing the way of pronunciation. It's very simple. At least if you know that one, we start from there. So if you see an A, for example, which have a line on top, that will be a long A. If you don't see that one, you don't say Ava, because the last A is not a long one. You say Ava. That is what you want to say, Chris. Yes?
Yeah, I say we've been trying, to get the Europeans to say it properly.
Yeah.
In the UK, we've pretty much gone over to proper Indian pronunciation
Okay.
because we have plenty of Indians,
Yes.
and we have told people, this is the right way to say it. Don't say that way.
Yes. Why?
So,
Sorry. Why it's important? Please tell us why it's important to have a right pronunciation of the Sanskrit words, not only the Sanskrit name of God or any deity.
yeah,
Why?
well, because it changes the meaning.
That's one.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's so if you're addressing God, I mean, one of the odd things they did in edition 7 of the mantra book was that they put an A on the end of Sanskrit words that end in a consonant.
Yes.
Yeah. So Dharma Brit means, supporting Dharma. Yeah.
Yes.
But they put an A on the end, it became Dharma Britta. Okay. That's actually not a Sanskrit word. So it doesn't mean anything. So instead of meaning something, it
Meaningless.
doesn't. It becomes meaningless. Yeah.
Yes.
Uh,
Another reason will be to be polite with God when you talk with him.
yeah. I mean, as we were saying, Sanskrit's a language with which we talk with God. So yeah, it's polite. If somebody constantly mispronounces your name, calls you Daniel or something instead of Daniel,
Exactly.
it's just kind of annoying, get it wrong. So, for example, Ganesha, is gun with the end with the tongue curled up, gun, and E is long, Ganesha,
Ganesh.
Ganesha,
Okay.
Ganesha, Ganesha.
And the last A, it's short.
And the last A is short, and the sh is not a sh, it's a sh on the teeth. Ganesha. Now, if you listen to Shemataji, that's exactly how she says it, yeah?
Yeah.
But we've all been listening to her tapes for years and years, and people still say Ganesha.
Yeah.
Ganesha. So, wrong A and the wrong E. So again, if somebody was always mispronouncing your name, you'd probably be a bit sort of, not so happy.
Exactly.
So I think the thing about it is that we're forgiven whatever we do as long as we don't know any better.
Yes.
That if somebody tries to teach us and therefore we do know better, but we continue doing it wrong, then I think that's being a bit disrespectful.
That's true. That's true. We listened together one verse, the first one from Ganesha Atharva Sheersha. How many verses are in the whole Ganesha Atharva Sheersha, Chris?
That's an interesting question. The first numbers actually are quite standard. I mean, it's not something I've made up. It's in the part we say there are 10 verses. Verse 2 is only one line. It's, Ritam Vachmi, Satyam Vachmi. That's it. That's the whole of verse 2.
Yeah.
But then there's another 6 verses after what we normally say called the Palastruti, which means explains how to say it, when to say it, and telling you the benefits, what will happen if you say it.
The fruits.
The fruits, yeah. So it's actually, one of the things it says is that if somebody has some desire in the mind and they say the Ganesha Atharva Sheersha 1,000 times, that will become manifested, that desire. So it's actually quite common in India for people to sit down and have a session, say the Ganesha Atharva Sheersha 1,000 times, and that takes a couple of days. So you just spend 2 days just saying the Ganesha Atharva Sheersha over and over.
Without stopping?
I don't know exactly how they do it. I haven't done one myself.
They have breaks?
I guess they would. They must do, or maybe some people come in and take over and other people take a break, and I don't know. But yeah, there are stories of people, miraculous things that have happened, when people did this. I mean, people in India, one of the things they're very keen on is having children, so if they don't have kids, they often want to, so they will do something like that.
What's the meaning of the first verse, Chris? The one we just listened now.
Okay, well, the first half of the Ganesha Atharva Sheersha is actually, you could say it's a general praise of the divine. Yeah.
Yep.
Apart from the introduction, Om Namaste Ganapatiye, the rest of it doesn't mention Sri Ganesha at all. It doesn't mention anything about his special attributes, about having a cold trunk or one tusk or anything like that. It's actually the whole first half is really just a general praise of the divine. So
the first six verses.
First 6 verses, yeah, up to Om Bhur Bhuva Swaro.
Yep.
Brahma Bhur. And then verse 7 onwards is all very much about Sri Ganesha, Ganadim Purvamucharya, describing his mantras and his names and the way of worshipping him specifically. So the first verse describes the 5 aspects of God. Now we're very familiar with the 3 aspects, the Trimurti, the God as the creator and the preserver and the destroyer.
Yep.
I met a guy in a temple once in India, and he said, this is God, generator, operator, and destroyer, G-O-D.
Yeah.
That's good. And okay, then there's a 4th aspect of God which oversees those 3 and keeps them all in balance, which is called Ishvara. And this is mentioned, Shmataji talks about this in her book, actually. The Ishwari who balances everything, keeps everything in order. And then ultimately, there's the 5th form of God, which is the Sadashiva, which is, and at the end of the universe, the great dissolution, all those forms of God sort of pack up into each other, and they all pack up back into the all-pervading formless consciousness, and everything else disappears. The whole universe dissolves. Yeah? So that's why it's called Sadashi, because Sada means eternal. Okay, so the 5th line goes Tvameva Sakshat Atmasi Nityam. So Nityam also means eternal. So it's implying that this is the Sadashiva, 5th line.
Yeah.
So that's basically, so again, it's got nothing really to do with Sri Ganesha. Specifically, it's just saying, God, you've got 5 forms of God. And
The next verse is it's a short one. It's just one line.
Yeah. So Ritam and Satyam both mean the truth, but and Vashmi means I speak, I am saying the truth. But Ritam means more like what's written down in the scriptures, what's kind of sort of more of a sort of mental concept or a structure of truth. And Satyam is like truth as you experience it, like reality. Mm-hmm. So yeah. So it's saying.
There are commentators who said that this prayer, it's a compilation because the structure of the verses are not the same through the whole. So at some stage, someone, a rishi, probably put together few prayers in different styles, and we know that it's a mixed meter,
Yeah.
because here
sure.
they
I
said
mean,
Nichrit Gayatri Chandah, which means it's done in a mixed meter. Not usually a prayer is done in one meter. So that is one of the reason or the one of the clue that we can say that it's a compilation. What is your take about that?
Well, depends how controversial you want to be. Because
we don't want to be controversial. We want to find the truth.
Well, the truth can be very controversial,
Yes.
So, some people would like to say the Ganesha Atharva Sheersha is 3,000 years old.
Yes.
Well, it's obviously not, because I mean, Sri Ganesha wasn't being worshipped 3,000 years ago. He doesn't appear in the Vedas. He does not appear in the Ramayana or the Mahabharata. He only appears probably after his incarnation, after the time of Christ. It's actually when Ganesha worship probably started.
Okay. Why you believe that? Because obviously the principle of Sri Ganesha start with the creation. And I very much hope that we will reach the 9th verse. I'm not, if we don't reach it today, I will do everything in my power to persuade you to reach that stage, because I want to go verse by verse if I don't finish today. But there are some controversial, fine to hard to understand verses in the or lines in the 9 verse. We will reach that point. But obviously Sri Ganesha was here from the beginning of times. What we try to said, or you said, it's Sri Ganesha was start worshipped very late.
Well, I don't think 2,000 years ago is actually very late. I mean, it's a time when us Europeans were still running around in animal skins, and I mean, there was a Roman Empire. I agree. But
before Christ was few other civilization, including the Hindu one, who have few thousand years history behind them. So my question is, what's happened in those 1,000 years? They don't acknowledge Sri Ganesha at all, or the principle of sun?
I think it's generally accepted that Sri Ganesha started out as a kind of folk god. Yeah, that he was worshipped by the people. He was not part of the Brahminical Vedic religion.
Like Virgin Mary like Virgin Mary in the Christianism. She is not part of the official teaching
Okay,
of the church. You have to
right.
agree that. But it's a people who push that worship. In a way, it's the same with Sri Ganesha.
Yeah, I mean, actually, the name Gana means the people. So Ganapati means the protector of the people, or Ganesha means the people's god.
How about
So
the Ganas? Because also uh, Ganapati is the chief of the Ganas. That's true.
yeah, it is. But I mean, Gana. I mean, you know the Indian national anthem.
No, no, sorry. Yeah,
It starts off Jana Gana Mana.
the
Okay,
people
Jana means people. Gana means the group of people, all
gathering,
the people.
gathering.
Mana means the mind. Yeah. So Jana Gana Mana Adinayaka means the one who directs the minds of the people. You know.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, addressing God, obviously.
Yeah.
So yeah, and the Indian what should we say government system is called Ganatantra, controlled by the people. Ganatantra.
I
So
know that
Gana
from
means
your book. Yes, yes, you
yeah,
write in the
Gana,
book about that.
Gana does it means the people. You know, I mean, it also means the group of Lord Shiva's followers, the Ganas.
The Ganas.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about the Ganas? Because I know also from reading your book and few other books that the Ganas are not very nice characters. So usually when you tell to an European this kind of stuff, they are quite shocked. Oh, I thought the Ganas are little angels, nice with flying around. And when I told them sometimes they have 3 legs and the mouth on the tummy and ugly faces, they are quite shocked. Can
Well,
you?
I think they can be both, is the answer. And it probably depends on your own frame of mind as to what you see or the kind of job they have to do. I
Exactly.
mean, I think in the third Star Wars movie, there were these little kind of teddy bears creatures who were running around. Yeah?
Yes, yeah.
And humanity said, oh, look, they're like the gunners, these little
Yeah,
teddy bears. You know,
yeah.
because they're very
Wasn't
busy running around
wasn't
doing things all the time, you know, fixing
yes,
stuff.
wasn't
Yeah.
the first one? Was in the fourth one, which actually is the first episode. How they put it, but doesn't matter. It's
Okay, somewhere in there. Yeah.
somewhere. Yeah, we
But
remember.
yeah, and I mean also, I mean, Shimaji talks about how you know in the body you have all the antibodies and the mitochondria which do all the work. Actually, I mean, our bodies are actually run by our mitochondria. We are just the sort of consciousness which inhabits the body, but actually the body, everything is done by, and mitochondria are essentially bacteria. Yeah. So humanity said, these are the ganas. They're doing the divine work. They're running your body, fixing everything and stuff. And you don't have to worry about it. You're just the sitting in the carriage, enjoying the journey. Even.
So the ganas are practically inside our body. So is the
Yeah.
automatic system behind the work of the physicality of our organs,
Yeah. I mean,
which are
humanity often
automatic.
asks, she often asks the question, you know, the autonomous nervous system,
Who's
or
auto?
you said automatic.
Yeah.
Who's the auto? You know, well, the
Yes.
auto is the spirit. It's Lord Shiva.
Yeah.
And who does all the work of Shiva? Well, the answer is his ganas. You know.
Yeah.
So everything that's done in this universe is run by the ganas.
Wow. And Sri Ganesha is the Lord of the Ganas, is the
He's the main guy, yeah.
leader of the Ganas.
Yeah. The overseer of the ganas.
Yeah.
So if there's some job he's doing, Sri Ganesha directs the gunners.
Now, he was appointed the chief of Ganas after the story all we know, when he was decapitated, fighting with his father.
Yeah. Well, sort of his father, isn't he? He was immaculate conception.
Yes. The future husband of his mother. Better,
Something like that, yeah.
better put it. Later, there is a story where Sri Ganesha was guarding the entrance in the palace of Sri Shiva, because Sri Shiva wants to be undisturbed during the meditation and asks Sri Ganesha to guard. So that's another story about Sri Ganesha being this time the guardian of his father abode. Yeah. And he fight with Parashurama there.
Yeah.
Okay. But
anyway, I think the point is about the decapitation. Yeah, it's a very common theme.
Yes.
About losing the ego and
Yes.
being reborn
Yes.
of the spirit. So when he was made, he didn't recognize Shiva. Shiva came, he wouldn't let him in the house. Yeah, he didn't recognize him.
Yes.
He didn't recognize God. When his head gets cut off, and he gets a new head, his elephant head, then he recognizes Shiva.
Now, you know, I was passionate as well about the 12 names of Sri Ganesha. And I, for my understanding, I write something down because I like to fix the idea, will help me to understand things. And I was looking for the 12 names of Sri Ganesha, and the first name is Sumukha. First name is Sumukha, which means a beautiful face.
Yeah.
My understanding about that beautiful face is, and that's an interpretation. It's my interpretation. Sorry about that. But my understanding is that the first name is related with the face of Sri Ganesha and with the head of Sri Ganesha before fighting with Sri Shiva. Is the beautiful face of the children made by her mother, according to her to her face. She is the beauty incorporated. Sri Parvati is the apex of the beauty, and she couldn't make a child, a little boy, different than her. So she make a beautiful children with a beautiful face, and I believe that is the meaning of Sumukha, the face of Sri Ganesha before, and makes sense to be the first name in those 12. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I could think of a few more interpretations of the name.
Please.
Which, well, Su, you know, it could mean, well, Mukha means the face, but it also means the first or the foremost or the best. Yeah. So Su means auspicious or good, you know, or beautiful. So
Su means beautiful?
Yeah, but it means auspicious or good as well. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So Su Mukha means he's the first, he's the foremost in auspiciousness.
Yeah. Mukha
Okay,
means
interpretation.
mukha means face.
Yeah, it means face, but it also means the best or the highest, the foremost person, in
The
something.
first,
Yeah. Well, the foremost, I mean, the best, the greatest.
greatest. Yep.
Also, then you could say also Su, I mean, could be short for like, you know, like you say Shiva Sutta means the son of Shiva, yeah? Sutta means born
Uh-huh.
or arisen, sprung up.
Uh-huh.
So it comes, the root is Su. Sutta means in the past tense. Yeah? So Sumukha means he's the firstborn, he's the first manifestation.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, there are other possible ways of looking at it, but they all make sense. They all describe Sri Ganesha. That he is the firstborn. He's the first manifestation of the creation, the Muladhara chakra, the foundation of everything.
That's the
So
beauty.
as well as
Sorry, that's the beauty of Sanskrit, or the the richness of Sanskrit, who allowed us to go to find more meaning for each word, but all makes sense. It's not a competition between the translation or the meanings.
no,
They
they're kind of complementary.
complementary. They complete each other.
Yeah,
And your work, it's exactly that, because you are not stopping to one translation or one way of translating something. You try to go deep in all the interpretation, because only that you can hope to have access to the meaning. We probably never get the complete answer, the complete meaning of the names of God, because we are human. But at least we try. So that's your
yeah. I mean,
that was your job.
I feel that Shrimataji, showed us the way. I mean, she was always taking words, breaking them up in different ways, and saying,
Yes.
she came to England. She went to a place called Sheffield. So she said, Sheffield, it's she meaning the goddess, and
Yes.
field meaning the place, her area for activity.
Yeah.
So this is the home of the goddess.
Kshetra.
I think,
Kshetra.
yeah, Kshetra, yeah. So
Wow.
yeah, she was very keen on that. As you say, Sanskrit is amazing. I mean, it lends itself to all kinds of what seem to be miraculous, sort of things. So you get a name. I've recently been working on the 21 names of Sri Vishnu. I say working, I've been meditating on them. And one of them is, Madhava.
Yep.
So it comes from Madhu, which means
Honey.
many things. It means honey, means springtime.
Yeah.
It's the name of the founder of the Yadava clan that Sri Krishna belonged to. Anyway, so, but the miraculous thing is that when you make a sort of adjective out of it, what you do, you lengthen the first vowel. So Madhu becomes Madhava.
Uh-huh.
You make the first vowel long.
Madhava.
And U becomes Awa, which is, you lengthen the last one as well. So you lengthen the first and the last vowels. And actually, we do the same in England, in English. I don't know if I give you an example, but if I say, like, this is blue, okay, but it's kind of, that bit's a kind of bluish. So you stress the first vowel, bluish. It's blue. But if you stress that vowel, you lengthen it out. It makes a sort of adjective
Uh-huh. Yeah.
out of it. Yeah. Uh,
Bluish.
anyway, bluish. Yeah. Blue. So, so then Madhava becomes, Ma is Sri Lakshmi,
Yeah.
and Dava means a husband,
Okay.
from Da meaning to support,
Yeah.
So Dawa.
Mhm.
So Madhava means the husband of Lakshmi. You go, wow, that's amazing, Suddenly it's by the process of Sanskrit, you end up with all these different meanings. Yeah.
Srimataji told us at some stage to learn a lot. On the other hand, at some stage, she said, you don't have to learn Sanskrit. You don't
Yeah.
have to go deep in those stuff because but she said those things in different circumstances and to the different people. And now what's happened, the people listen to Shrimataji's talk and they choose what they like it. So uh, if they don't give a damn about
Yeah.
Sanskrit and the pronunciation, they will quote Shrimataji when she said, you don't have to learn Sanskrit.
No,
But
I mean,
they
everybody does that.
forget
They hear
that
what they want to hear.
yes, but they forget she said that only to make them at least coming for the minimum of the minimum to start something, to start doing meditation. But they are sticking on, they remain on that little beginning box or beginner box. I don't know. I don't want to be controversial, but I always believe that okay, you don't have to learn Sanskrit, but at least to know some notion of the notions of Sanskrit. You are probably one of the few who know Sanskrit,
Well, I
but
don't really know Sanskrit actually much,
or you, yeah.
but to be honest, but she said you don't have to learn Sanskrit, but at least learn Hindi.
Yeah, yes, yes,
You want to
yes,
complete the quote, um, because Hindi has the same sounds, has the same pronunciation. Yeah. So that's why
yeah. Will help
learning Hindi would help you with
with the
saying
pronunciation.
Sanskrit
Yeah.
pronunciation. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, Shrimataji said, what I like to hear was she said, a Saj Yogi is someone who's interested in everything,
Yes,
who wants to know everything about everything. Yeah.
yes. I
Which
recognize
Shrimataji
myself.
did. She was fantastic. I mean, we were builders, yeah, and she'd come out and she'd say, "Oh, I'll show you how to plaster the wall or something." And, we go, "Really?" And she'd pick up a plastering trowel and something, and she'd go swoosh swoosh, and then throw water at it and go swoosh swoosh, and suddenly it was just like perfect plastering. You go, "Wow, that's amazing!" How do you do that? She just knew everything about everything.
Uh,
So I think for me, that's the same with Sarjogis. We're not limited to just, we want to know about one thing. We want to know everything about everything.
uh, I'm so happy because that's me. And sometime I was a little bit worried that I'm not wasting myself going in 2000 directions. And I obviously won't be possible to know everything about everything because we are human. But I was always interested in so many aspects of life and knowledge.
Sure. And the idea is that we keep learning. We never stop learning. We always,
And we will never finish.
yeah, yeah. You'll never get to the end. I mean, that's the wonderful thing about Saj Yoga is that there's no limit to it. You're just learning every day. You're learning something
Absolutely.
new about
Absolutely.
Saj Yoga. And I mean, sort of joke was, how can you tell a new Sarjogi from an old one? And the answer was, well, the new Sarjogi knows a lot more. The old one just knows how much he doesn't know.
Yeah, that's a good one. Um, do you mind if I ask you about the third
Third
verse?
verse.
The third
Okay.
verse looks like um, asking for protection and starting like that.
Okay, yeah. I mean, they all start with the name with the verb ava,
Yes.
which is the imperative. Now, in they don't really ask questions of God in India. They don't say, you know, could you please help me? You know, they just say, God, help me. You know, they kind of give orders to God. You know,
That's
so
not
protect me, protect my left side, protect my right side, protect me from above.
that's not
They're
very
not.
polite.
Well, it is if you do it in the right way. You know?
Okay.
Because in fact, if you're too polite, that's not very polite either, because it implies some separation. If I'm being very careful about how I speak to you, it implies that I'm sort of separate from you. But if we're one, well, we just do whatever you feel like, don't you? So
That's a point. It's a point, but
yeah,
I never thought about that. I never thought about that. I always think that it's quite good. I mean, okay, but we are separated. Of course, we want to be one, but we have to acknowledge the fact that we are little ants comparing, or even worse, comparing with God. So I still believe that we have to be a little bit more polite and not be imperative just to show that we are one, because we are not. We will become one, but after that.
yeah. Well, I mean, the answer is it's all about whether you're humble or not, really, isn't it? About what it's about the attitude, not the actual
Oh yeah.
practice. I mean, for example, if you give your child a glass of water with their lunch or something, you don't want them to say thank you. They just accept that, you know, you're doing it for them. You know, you're their dad giving them a glass of water. It's like, that's just natural, you know. You don't
And he
want
won't
some
and he won't ask
recognition.
you, yeah, he won't ask you very humble. He just said, give me water.
Yeah. Water. Yeah.
Milk.
Uh, so there's that first, yeah. So it's all arranged in pairs, actually, you know. Ava twa mum, thou, protect thou, me, you know, you, me. And then Ava Vaktaram, Ava Shrotaram, protect. So I think it explains in the book that one of the things about Indian culture is that normally people would not know the Ganesha Atharva Sheersha. So if they were having a puja or they were going to the temple, there would be a Brahmin, there'd be some person whose job would be to say the mantras. So the mantra says, protect the speaker, protect the listener. Okay. So because somebody's saying it, other people are listening. And the people that are listening are probably paying the person who's
To do the
saying
job.
it
To do the
to
job.
do the job. So they become the people that are offering the prayer to God because they're paying for it.
Yeah.
But the guy saying it is actually the person performing it.
Yep.
So protect the giver and protect the performer. Again, there's this sort of constant. So then it says protect the person who knows how to say it.
Yes.
The anush, anyway.
Avanu chanam avam shisham.
Yeah, anuchanam means knowing how to recite the thing. But the shishyam is the pupil, the student, who doesn't know. Okay, so again, there's a pair, you know. And then it says, you know, then it says protect from the front, from the back, from left and right, above and below. And so the 6 directions. And then it finally says, protect me everywhere continuously. you know. So yeah, so it's fairly simple. I don't think there's any really sort of double meanings in there much. It's all just fairly straightforward, simple.
I have a question about the way how you choose to translate this verse, because in the original, all the direction, the speaker and everything are starting with Ava, but you choose to translate differently, at least the first part of the verse, and you said, Ava to Amam, you start with protecting, protect thou me, but after that, for the next three verses, you choose different way of translating protection, and you
Yeah,
translate the first one, be propitious to the speaker. The second one, watch over the offerer. The third one, or actually it's the fourth, but show favor. And after that, you stick with protect. What was the reason behind that, Chris? Why you
well,
don't
if you,
stick with the original and choose to? It's not a critique. I'm just a questioning. You must have a reason.
yeah, sure. If you look in your Sanskrit dictionary under Ava, it'll
Aha.
give you a list of meanings.
Aha.
So I think it was quite. I like to bring out the sort of the other, what should we say, little
Meaning.
facets of the meaning.
Yeah.
It doesn't just mean protect. It means actually to kind
Okay.
of to look over, to guard. So yeah, that is protecting, but it's sort of slightly, it's a certain aspect of protecting.
Yeah. Okay.
Or or to be favorable to. In other words, to be
Yeah.
sort of,
Yeah.
kind to somebody. That's sort of also protection, but it's a different aspect of,
And watch over and be propitious.
be kind,
Be
be
kind.
helpful.
Yeah.
Whatever. You could probably expand that into more meanings if you wanted.
Yeah. So
Okay,
we are on the fourth verse,
fourth verse.
which
Yep.
it's a very interesting one. Not easy to to get it. Not easy to understood.
So
Can you
let's start
develop
off
a little
from
bit?
Vangmayas. Starts off from Vangmayas.
Yeah. Tuam Vamayas, Tuam Chinmayah, Tuam Ananda. So which will be repeated after that
Okay.
with a different
Uh,
meaning. So
well, when you first look at it, you think to yourself, why didn't they say Sat, Chit, and Ananda?
yes.
It says Vang and then Chit and then Ananda. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mayas means like made of. That's your nature, and Tvam is you, obviously. So, but Vang actually means speech, and speech is the quality of Sri Brahma Deva and Saraswati.
Uh-huh.
They are the gods of speech.
Yeah.
And they rule the lower section of the subtle system, the lower three chakras.
The first three chakras.
Yeah, until you reach the Brahma Granthi. Yeah,
Not.
so it's connected. uh, so below the knot of Brahma, which is actually just above the Kundalini. So that has to open. So it's describing the three sections of the subtle system.
And the deities. Brahma, Vishnu, Shishu.
Yeah, kind of. So Vangmayas means Brahma, which is Chin is attention and consciousness.
Yeah.
So that's the right side quality, aspect of consciousness. Yeah. So that's the right side is the middle section, the antariksha, the in-between section. And then Ananda, the joy, is in the Sahasrara, we know that. Yeah. So, okay, and then there's the fourth one, which is what is beyond the Sahasrara. And the answer is, well, the formless God, which is Brahma.
The formless.
Or Brahman. The formless, Brahman.
Yeah.
So Brahman and Brahma Brahma meaning Brahmadeva,
Yes.
actually the same word, but Brahmadeva is masculine and the Brahman is neuter. But that's the only difference between them. So in some cases, it's hard to tell which one is meant in the translation. But but you can usually pick it out because of the different endings that masculine and neuter nouns have. So in this case, it's the Brahman, the formless God. So those are the four aspects there.
Yep.
And so then you think, well, maybe the next line is describing the fifth aspect.
No.
Well, kind of. So then the next line is from Pratyaksham
Satchitananda.
Satchitananda. So it is in a way because Satchitananda is the three aspects of the formless God, of Sadashiva. Existence, consciousness, and bliss. Okay, so those, in a way, the Satchitananda does mean the supreme God, God Almighty. So it is actually the fifth form, you know. But Pratyaksham means manifestation. So I think it's saying that he is the manifestation, but he's also this formless God, you know.
Like in the first verse.
Yeah, like in the first verse.
Tvameva sarvam kalvidam brahmasi. You are both, the manifested and unmanifested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would, or possibly, you know, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, and then what's the next line? There's some more of that verse.
Tam gyana mayo vigyana mayosi.
Okay. Okay, so again, there's some subtle meanings in jnana means knowledge, but specifically, I mean, Shmataji mentions that it's specifically the knowledge, direct knowledge of God. You know? So it implies going up into Sahasrara, becoming connected with God. I mean, the only way we know God is to be one with Him, you know, with God. Because there's no intellectual knowledge, it's just a kind of experience. So that, but then you can experience that, but then you've got to come back down and carry on with normal life, you know. So there have been cases, apparently, of people who kind of got up very high, connected with God, but couldn't get back again. We don't have that problem in Sahaja Yoga, luckily. So apparently that's Vigyan also means that kind of coming back down to the Vigyan actually means science in Hindi. Like, you know, that means knowledge of the world, the worldly knowledge.
The material.
So we have you're both the knowledge, the divine knowledge, but
Yep.
also the worldly knowledge. You know. And yeah.
That's a very interesting interpretation about the human knowledge or the mundane knowledge, the world knowledge, but also I was taking that line as an advice to know and to understand. Because sometimes, because I take it personally to advise for me to know, but also to understand, because always I want to know things, but also to go in the deep understanding of those things, not just to know them without know the real meaning or the
No,
deep.
I think you're right. I mean, I think Shrimataji stressed that, you know, that
Yeah.
the knowledge part of Sahaja Yoga is very important because when you have some experience of the divine, you need to know what you're getting actually. I mean, it's like babies are probably all connected to God, in a state of bliss.
Yeah.
But they don't have the intellectual capacity to say, I am experiencing,
Yeah.
this. Um, so it's actually kind of meaningless. It doesn't mean anything.
They
So
have to
it's very
grow up.
important.
They have to grow
You
up
have
to
to
understand. But in the meantime,
Yeah.
they will lose the
Well, you have to develop
innocence.
an ego before you can lose your ego.
Yes, exact. Very well put. Very well put. You
Yeah.
have to develop a ego before you lose it.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
that wrap our discussion, which start with decapitation of Sri Ganesha.
Yeah. Sure.
Maybe, maybe.
Maybe. Yeah.
So,
Uh,
do you think we have time in our little 8 minutes until we agreed our agreed time to talk about the
no,
last?
actually, no. According to me, we've got 40 minutes left.
How much?
It's only 11:20 here at the moment.
Okay.
So
Oh,
you're
so
6.5 hours different, then.
yes. Yeah. Okay. So it's
So you've
okay.
got half an hour. Got half an hour or so. Yeah,
Oh,
if you want.
fantastic.
If you want.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
So if you are not tired and you are keen to answer
Uh,
to my
no, I
question,
can carry on. Yeah, sure. Yeah, let's carry on.
we can go for the next one. I'm so excited to have this chat directly with you, although I read the book, but talking is different than reading, that's for sure. And that was the base of the transmitted of the sacred knowledge before writing. I believe that the best way of transmitted the true knowledge is the oral one, because the oral transmission is the one which is between the disciple and the teacher, is the one who preserve the way of talking, is the way of preserving the real meanings of the world. In the moment when we start reading, we get a lot, because from that on we can have books which can be spread it away. Uh, Everybody can write, but we will lose something, because the knowledge is diluted by, and not only diluted, but start to become meaningless, especially in the modern world. So anyway, it's what I think about that. So I prefer always to talk than to write.
Okay.
We are on the fifth verse
Yeah.
now. It's a very interesting description of the Sri Ganesha relation with the world, as you very nice put it when you describe each of these verses, like a unofficial title of the verse.
Right. I have to look. I've forgotten what it is. But,
Yeah, Sarvam Jagadidam Tato Jayate.
okay. Yeah. Um, right. Well, again, it seems actually, I don't think there's too much sort of double meanings in any of this. I think
No,
it's all pretty straightforward. Um, Sauravam is everything. Jagat idam, this world, this whole world
yeah,
uh, is born from you. This whole world is preserved by you. This whole world is dissolved into you. And then the fourth line is this whole world is returning into you.
yeah,
So, I mean, the way Shmataji describes creation, I don't know your take exactly, but for me, the idea of the creation is that God Almighty, the Sadashiva, before creation happened, everything was all like perfectly tranquil. And then this desire arose within the divine to become aware of itself. So it was consciousness, but it wanted to somehow become conscious of itself. So that created the Big Bang, that created the separation, the Adi Shakti, this desire. And then, creation just keeps moving forward, becoming more and more conscious. Eventually, human beings appear on the planet who are conscious enough that we can become aware of our own divinity. So that's the purpose of life, to become God being aware of itself. And so when it says this whole world is returning to you, that means like the creation came out of the divine with the intention that it has to then like turn around and face the divine back again, so that you become God becoming aware of itself. So that's how I see that this world is returning to you.
Yes.
What's the next line?
The next line, there are two lines describing the 5 elements and the 4 part of the speech. What's the meaning of putting those stuff in the 5th verse close to the describing the creation? So you have the 4 phases of the creation in a circle, like you said, which let me speechless, and ending with the 5th elements and the 4 way of speech. We can develop, we can say which are those form of speech. We know the 5 elements, but my question still, why on the 5th verse put those together?
Well, I think perhaps when it's saying, that Sri Ganesha, this creation is returning to you, that it comes out of him. Well, how does it manifest? Well, first of all, it manifests as a physical creation, the 5 elements.
5 elements.
Okay, but from those 5 elements, slowly life develops, and then, life becomes more conscious. And so what creates human beings is speech, actually. Yeah, because speech implies concepts and thought. I mean, they talk about how speech developed, that you're standing in the sea or something, and somebody shouts at the other person, "There's a fish here, fish, there's a fish here," So, okay, so you have a word for fish, but then fish can become a concept, You can talk about fish when you're home in your cave. You can still say fish, and suddenly everybody goes, fish, yeah, it's funny because there's no fish there actually, but
without seeing
it, you've got a concept, you've got an idea. So speech enables thought. Without speech, there's no thought, and thought enables knowledge, and knowledge enables you to become aware of the divine and fulfill the purpose of life. So speech is actually extremely important. I mean, we kind of take it for granted.
Can we draw a comparison with the Bible? In the beginning was the world?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, that's many interpretations, I guess. I mean, I guess in Sahaja we think that means that Om started everything.
Yeah.
The word was with God, and the word was God.
Yep.
Yeah. So the four stages of speech, it's a very important concept in Hinduism, actually. It gets talked about quite a lot. Shumataji mentions it a couple of times. How it is, that speech actually starts off, way back in the unconscious, sort of the para, the beyond. And that by the time we become aware of speech, it's already developed within us. They say, for example, that, like, say you're sitting doing something, and you've got a cup of tea, half drunk there. They say that actually, your hand actually moves to take the tea before your conscious mind has actually decided to do it. Yeah, the unconscious is actually running a lot of stuff. We think we're making decisions. But you've probably become aware of the fact that your body's already doing something, and you decide, no, I don't want to do that. Yeah, but actually, the body has already started to do it, and you have to kind of pull back. So the unconscious, the para, the beyond, is actually running a lot more stuff in our lives than we think it is. We think we're consciously deciding stuff. The answer is no, not very much. Right. So that's the para, and the pashyanti means you become aware of it. You see it. Oh yeah, okay. And then and you feel it, and then you say it. And then at some point, you get to decide if you really want to say it or not.
Next verse.
Yep. So then verse 6 is the
relation with the subtle world. So Sri Ganesha, relation with the subtle world. Tuam gunatrayatita, tuam deha. So we have the gunas.
Yeah. Well, atita means going beyond. Ati is beyond. Ita means gone, beyond.
Yeah.
So atita. So yeah, we have the things that produce creation. Well, the first thing that produces creation is actually the three gunas. The three gunas. It's not just that everything contains the three gunas. The three gunas actually produce creation. Atoms themselves are actually manifestations of the three gunas.
Yep.
You've got the heavy nucleus, that's the left side. You've got the super energetic, restless electron, which if you stop it moving, it doesn't exist anymore. That's the right side.
Yep.
And then you've got the thing that keeps it in balance, which is the neutrons, maybe. So, and then, people realize in the 20th century that atoms are not little hard balls. They're just energy, actually. They don't really exist, in fact. They're just sort of electric fields.
Yep.
So the gunas are just producing the whole creation out of energy, out of Shakti.
Yep.
But he's beyond those. He's beyond the three gunas. And then another thing that happens when the Big Bang happens, when people say, what happened before the Big Bang? The answer is that question has no meaning, because the Big Bang created time.
Yes.
So there was no before.
Yep.
Because time didn't exist. There was no time, so there was no before the Big Bang. So time is an integral part
matter.
of creation of matter, actually. Yeah.
The
So
time
again,
start, the time start with matter. Or the short answer is that.
yeah, it's an integral part, time and space. You know, they're interrelated, they're linked together, and they're both some form of illusion. You know,
Yeah.
and that God is beyond those. He's not limited in time or space.
And
So
we cannot access it. We cannot access God through that path.
how do you mean through what? Oh, through time and space,
Yes.
through science or
No.
no, you have to go beyond
Oh
to be
yeah.
able to reach God. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
And
that's the point.
when the science will get beyond all this physical concept of quantum of physics, when the science will do that, will cease to be science.
Maybe I think there were scientists in the 20th century who did get beyond. I mean, some of these quantum guys, I mean, they understood, they realized that actually everything depended on consciousness.
Yes.
That everything was consciousness. Actually, without consciousness, actually nothing really existed.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a fundamental truth of the universe, yeah? Which is kind of beyond science, but it was the scientists who realized it. So, but the point is that the rest of humanity hasn't got there yet. We're still way behind those guys. 100 years later, we're still kind of struggling. But one of the things about human mind is that once somebody has thought something, it becomes much easier for the next person to think it. And when a lot of people have thought the same thought, it becomes very easy for everyone to think it. And then after a while, it just becomes normal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we live in a society, in a time when we think everything is rational. Everything has a rational explanation. You can explain the whole of nature and the whole of the cosmos and everything in rational scientific terms. Now, to us, that seems a very simple, straightforward, and normal way of looking at things, but it's only 300 years old.
Yep.
That viewpoint.
Yep.
Before Descartes, Spinoza, and Leibniz, people didn't think that way.
Yep.
Actually. So for us, it's perfectly normal and absolutely so normal that you'd be stupid to argue against it. And yet it's a very new idea. You know.
That's true. Yeah.
It's a new mindset. And interestingly enough, that period was known in England as the Enlightenment.
Yeah.
People like William Blake and people around that time, yeah. So I think it was an enlightenment. I think actually that way of looking at things is actually true in a way. You know. It's not based on fear, superstition, ignorance, belief in something sort of incomprehensible.
Because that period start with going away from the religion as was before. So the first Illuminists was the one who departed from the religion in a way, not believing in God, but looking with an open mind around. So
yeah.
But unfortunately, the Illuminism and the Scientism, shortly after that, in the term of the whole history of the humanity, shortly after that, only in 100 and something years, start becoming atheists. So that was the downturn of the Illuminism. It's like the way you put it with the ego. First, you have to have an ego to be able to get rid of it, because you need it. But after that, it's the same with the Illuminism. You need it with the Illuminism. You need it, but after that, you have to control it, not going too far. And unfortunately, now is going too far. And speaking about the scientists, in the Western world, still have scientists which are atheists and believe only in science and the God, and but they confund the religion with the sects, with the fanatism. The greatest science people, especially the physicians, are believers. Are
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, people like Einstein or
not only Einstein,
Newton.
but nearly all of them were believer. Heidegger,
Ah,
everybody. So, but in
yeah, but actually, I just looked at
yeah,
a talk yesterday, funnily enough, where Shimazuji said when she got to Russia, now in Russia, they threw out religion, yeah?
yes,
Communism
yeah,
banned religion, you know.
yeah.
Okay, she said it was amazing. The Russians, their minds were so clean. Yeah, they got realization just really easily because they didn't have it cluttered up with all this kind of junk, that religion puts into your head. So this process of becoming atheist is actually a cleansing. It's a good thing.
And it's specific to the West, Chris, because
No, no, there's
if
plenty of atheists in India.
maybe that not as much as in the Western society, because when I talk about that 1 minute ago, I was very clear I was very keen to make it clear. I said Western scientist, because myself, I'm a chemical engineer, and I was around these guys since I was very young, and I have stories about working in a research institute full of this kind of people, and a feeling of spirituality and the belief in God was quite strong, which you don't find it in a West. I come in New Zealand, and it's happened to join Astronomic Society, which is very close to me. We have an astronomic observatory, and all of them was amateur, not science people, but they have science background. They weren't housewives or just who happened to go there. Everybody was interested in, and all was atheist, and probably New Zealand it's a little bit behind of the world, with including with those kind of stuff, because all have a very uh, out of fashion thinking about science and about astronomy, about this kind of stuff. They looks like they are from 50s or 60s, people from New Zealand. In comparing with the one in the West, which now starting, especially in the physics world, to become more aware. In communist country was a different kettle of fish, I reckon you said in English. They, because the religion was suppressed, the feeling of apartheid and the feeling of the spirituality, not religion in the classical sense, was very strong through the whole population and the science community. So it was different. That's why Shimataji had this experience in Russia, and she can have it in Romania, and have it in 1995 when she came to a medical conference, and everybody was to the Romanian Academy. I just put the movie now on this channel. It's a
Okay.
movie with Shimataji conference to the medical academy, and everybody embrace Sri Mataji ideas and way of presenting the medicine. That's in Romania. So all the communist country was different than the West from this perspective, because the religion, we have a different relation with religion.
Okay, yeah.
Should we finish with verse 6?
Okay,
Which,
yeah. Okay, so we just said that he was beyond the three gunas, which
yes,
what creates the universe. That he's beyond the three times,
yes,
and he is beyond the three
bodies and time. Yeah,
bodies.
yeah.
So, and there's actually a fourth line which is sometimes included, but not in Sahaja Yoga usually, which is from Awasta Trayatita, which is the three states of consciousness: waking, dreaming, and deep sleep.
You don't have it. That's why you don't put it?
No, it's in the book actually, but
Toam muladara stitiosinitiam.
I didn't put it in that thing, but if you in the book itself, it does. It's mentioned.
Okay, my mistake.
No, I say in Sahaja Yoga we don't say that line. Then the next line is rather unusual because it does actually mention something specific about Sri Ganesha, which no other line in the first half of the verse does, which is Tram Muladhara Stitosi Nityam.
Yes.
You're eternally stationed at the Muladhara chakra.
Yeah.
Or perhaps not Muladhara chakra, maybe just the Muladhara, meaning the sacrum. In other words, it's sort of the doorway to Sri Parvati's bathroom, the Holy of Holies. So the
you are the essence
in a way,
of
that line
yeah, sorry.
It looks like that line has actually sort of been added somehow at some point, but it was definitely there a couple of 100 years ago, so it's been there a long time.
Yep.
And there's no other mention anywhere in the Ganesha Atharva Sheersha of anything what we might call tantric, in other words, connected with chakras, kundalini.
The techniques.
Well, yeah. So tantra means, chakras and kundalini. So there's no other mention anywhere of anything to do with chakras.
Okay.
So it's kind of unusual line, that one. And then it just says, you from Brahma, from Vishnu.
Toam Sakshat Atmasini, Toam Shakti Prayatmakah. So the essence of the three Shaktis.
Three Shaktis, yeah.
Which are the three energies or the three channels, probably?
Yeah, we know that, the AUM of Om.
Yep.
Toam
Yogino de Antinitiam, the yogis meditate always on you.
Yeah, okay.
And after that, the reference of the
deities
and so on. Why the mix of Shri Brahma, Vishnu, Rudra, which is Shri Shiva, and after that Indra, Agnis, Vayus, Suryas, Chandramas? That will be a reference to the Vedas, which acknowledge Shri Agni and Indra.
I would say it's more of a reference to the Bhagavad Gita, where Sri Krishna says, of luminaries, I am the sun, and asterisms, I'm the moon, things like this. It's very much connected with that verses of the Bhagavad Gita where Sri Krishna says that. But there is a kind of, like Brahma is, this Swadhisthana, Vishnu's the Navi, Rudra is the heart, Indra is the Vishuddhi, Agni, fire, is like the Agya chakra, which quality of tapas. Tapas also means fire,
Yes.
and then vayu, the cool breeze of the
Okay. I never thought of that. So it's another way of going through the subtle system.
It does, and then there's then Chandramas,
The moon
and which is the crescent in the
of
first,
Shiva. Yeah.
the Ardha Bindu,
Yes.
chakra above Sahasrara, and then the Suryas is the Bindu,
Oh, okay. So it's not the right reference to the right channel, or can be.
it can be as well, but actually I think it makes more sense that they're the two chakras above
Yes.
Sahasrara.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is
And
the Ardha
the final one,
Bindu.
Brahma Bhur Bhuvak Swarom.
And
So
then,
going
and then
again,
Brahma is the all-pervading
yeah,
supreme consciousness. And then Bhur, Bhuva, and Swa are the three worlds. The
yeah.
Bhur is the earth, which is again the lower three chakras. And Bhuva is the atmosphere, which is the middle section. And Swa, heaven, is the Sahasrara and above.
Ultimate. Yeah.
And then Om is Om.
Which
Yeah.
can be employed everywhere, including
Yeah.
front of the each word, like in Gayatri mantra.
Well, I have to say, there's some times when I'm meditating when I don't really get much beyond Om. Just saying Om can get you there,
It's enough.
because as you say, oh, it pulls in the left and right channels,
Yeah.
and the Om, the activates the
Center.
Sushumna Nadi. So Om puts you into meditation, really, already, it's there. So, but to be honest, I say Ganesha mantra a lot. Again, hardly anything else much, because I don't know if you're aware of this correspondence of the various aspects of the mantra with the subtle system. We know that Om is connected to Muladhara, and Twam is you. It actually works on the Kundalini in the sacrum. So every word actually is clearing out the subtle system. So, like at the end, you've got Shri as the heart, Nirmala is Vishuddhi, and Vishuddhi, Nirmala and Vishuddhi mean almost the same thing, means purification. Shri Nirmala Deviye Namo Namaha. Namo is saying, Srimataji, you are beyond the moha, the illusions of the world. And Nama means you're beyond ego and sense of separation. That takes you up into Sahasrara. So Shri Nirmala Devi Namo Namaha. Yeah. And you're there. There you go.
And that's all.
That's it. That's all you need.
That's all you need. Correct. Yeah. I'm still going with Ganesha Atharva Sheersha as a whole, but I start, and we will make the link with the next meeting. I start more on Om Gam Ganapataye, which we'll talk about next time, hopefully. Without planning, today we managed to go through the first 6 verses of Ganesha Atharva Sheersha, which is a little bit more than half of the whole prayer. But this half is the one Chris talked before as being the one which are not talking about the Sri Ganesha nearly at all. So only now in the 7th verse we will start talking about Sri Ganesha, which will be probably next time, if you agree, Chris.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So with your approval, we have to finish now, and I have to thank you very much for that.
Oh, well, thank you.
Thank you to all the people who are watching us, hoping that you find at least interesting our talking and Chris' knowledge and everything we learn from him. Until next time, we said goodbye to you. Thank you for watching us, and thank you again, Chris. Jai Shri Mataji, and we'll see you next time.
Yep. All right. All the best.
Bye-bye.